Okay, y'all, I am back now for the second part of the Parkinson's common household item scavenger hunt. So if you saw the first video in this series, then you saw basically what we're doing here is we are looking for 3 common household items that caregivers of folks with Parkinson's disease should really be aware of in order to make caring for someone with Parkinson's disease that much safer and easier, and really help that person be a bit more independent as well. So last week we found the first item. It was actually, well, I will let you go back and watch that. If you haven't seen it yet, then go back and watch the first part of this series, because you're going to want to see that anyway before you watch the second part, because we're actually going to go through the room in that one and kind of see all of the common household items, and of course some of the not common household items that are up here in the training center too. But so I definitely recommend check out the first video in the Parkinson's scavenger hunt first. But right now, and I had to go last time because I just ran out of time to film. I had to go get ready for some live trainings that I had coming up. But now I'm back. It's actually the first day of October. I am so excited. I love October. I love Halloween, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about some fun plans that I have coming up for Halloween and to celebrate fall and October and to celebrate caregivers at the end of this video. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. Stay tuned for that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to be talking about the remaining 2 common household items that caregivers really should know about in order to make sure that we're making caring for folks with Parkinson's disease as safe and easy as possible, and as much as possible helping them to stay, helping people with Parkinson's disease to stay as independent as possible for as long as possible. So with that, I'm going to cut right to that, and we'll see what they are.
Disclaimer alert, keep watching, it'll be over soon.
Okay, so if you have already watched the first part of this series, the first part of the scavenger hunt series, then I'm going to guess that you probably guessed what this item was. And it's, of course, the thing that I am sitting on right now, and that is the rug. Why are rugs important? Well, if you talk to anyone in almost any part of the senior care or the fall prevention industry, rugs are one of the main things that people talk about all the time when it comes to fall prevention. And sometimes actually people have the misconception that having nice thick rugs or nice thick carpets around actually helps to prevent falls or reduce injury from falls. And really the thought process behind that is often that if someone falls down onto a rug or to a thick padded carpet, then they just won't get hurt. The problem with that, of course, though, is that actually the softer the surface that you are on, the more likely you are to fall and lose your balance, because the surface is less stable if it's more soft. And also it's harder to get good sensory input from a soft surface versus a nice firm one. So those are a couple of reasons that in general, carpets and rugs tend to be actually not necessarily great for people's balance. However, there's another, when we're talking about rugs in particular, there are other issues involved. So, of course, rugs can get bunched up. They can get, like every rug in the world has like that one corner that won't stay down, that it's easy to trip on. I'm sure if you have rugs in your house, you can think right now about that one rug that you like always almost trip on, or you do trip on, and really think about, making sure that you in some way try to address that if there is a particular place in your house where you are thinking of a rug that is like that. But so rugs can get bunched up, they can slide underneath your feet. They can have those corners that fold up. There are lots of things that someone might actually like slip or fall on or trip over when it comes to rugs. Even though rugs that are really laying nice and flat, and this is a pretty thin rug, even rugs like this though can really be a barrier barrier to folks who have any kind of mobility issues, and certainly folks who have Parkinson's disease. And the reason is because oftentimes, especially when someone has Parkinson's disease, they're not taking very big steps, and their steps their feet are not clearing the floor very well. So it's very easy, even with a small, relatively flat rug, it's easy to accidentally catch a toe on that rug, or catch even the bottom of, especially if someone has sort of that short kind of shuffling gait, that kind of small shuffling footstep that is often associated with Parkinson's disease. Even then, just sort of catching the whole bottom of the foot on the rug and not being able to step all the way through, that can cause an additional fall or tripping hazard. So really, rugs for folks with Parkinson's disease can be a big barrier. The other thing to keep in mind is that often people who have Parkinson's disease might need to use some kind of device for mobility, something like a rollator. Those are those four-wheeled walkers that usually have a seat on them and they've got brakes. Those are pretty common. Those are pretty commonly used for folks who have Parkinson's disease. And so if you come to a surface that it has carpet or has a rug, any kind of mobility device, whether or not it has wheels on it, really becomes more difficult to use in that particular area where there is rug or carpeting or any kind of threshold that it has to get up and over. So those are important things to consider, really, in terms of general fall prevention. But some of those hazards are really amplified when we're talking about folks who have Parkinson's disease. So that is number two. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. The second household item that we really need to be aware of when we are thinking about caring for folks with Parkinson's disease and trying to make things as safe as possible are rugs. Here we are now at number 3 of the common household items that caregivers should be aware of to make caring for someone with Parkinson's disease safer and easier. And I'm going to ask you not to get mad at me for this one because it's kind of tricky. But I promise it's something that you saw in the first video when we were actually doing the scavenger hunt and hunting around in the training center here. I promise it's something you actually saw, but it's not necessarily the thing itself. Okay, I will clarify. So what I'm talking about, the item was my watch. And while it's not necessarily, a watch or a clock is not necessarily integral to the direct care of someone who has Parkinson's disease. Although, honestly, actually, now that I'm thinking about it even more, one of the most important things for someone with Parkinson's disease is getting their medication, on time. So, absolutely having good medication management, making sure that someone is getting their meds as prescribed when they need to get them is really, truly, absolutely essential to helping people maintain their mobility and their independence when they have Parkinson's disease. So I guess actually in that way, a watch or a clock is a really important tool because it helps you to make sure you're getting medications on time if someone needs assistance with that. However, what I was originally going to get at before I had that bright idea there, that bright thought to talk about, was really the fact that we need to make sure that we are allowing folks with Parkinson's disease adequate time to do the things that they need to do and to respond to things that we're asking them to do. So one of the things that definitely comes along with Parkinson's disease is people often have trouble starting activity and stopping activity. You may have heard me talk about that before in other videos. Maybe it was even in the first video from this series. Honestly, I don't remember because I talk about it a lot actually. But one of the most important things is absolutely making sure that people have enough time. Because folks with Parkinson's disease have trouble starting and stopping movement, it means that they are needing more time to initiate movement and to stop movement from happening. So you could ask someone with Parkinson's disease to do something, to reach out for a cup, for example, and they may very well actually be trying to do that. It's just simply that it takes longer for those signals to process in order for them to perform the movement. So we want to make sure that we're just giving people the time that they need to actually do what they're already trying to do. The other important thing about that, though, is often when folks with Parkinson's disease feel rushed or they feel like people are waiting on them, it will actually cause them, as they try to rush, that will actually cause them to freeze up or lock up and not be able to move and kind of get stuck. And of course, once they are stuck, that can be challenging to get unstuck from, and you may end up being in a position where you suddenly have to provide more physical assistance. So simply making sure that that there's not too many things on the schedule in one day, that there's plenty of time to get from one place to another without rushing, that there's plenty of time to accomplish one task or another without rushing. That can also actually be really, really helpful in helping people maintain their safety and their independence and be able to participate actually a lot more in their care. What's more, when folks with Parkinson's disease do not feel rushed, often because they're able to move smoother, more easily, often that will actually help to speed the process along. So time, super, super important when we're talking about things like medication management, when we're talking about allowing time to start and stop movement, and definitely when we're talking about making sure that people don't feel rushed. All super important concepts to help people with Parkinson's disease live more safely, more easily, and more independently.
So those are the 3 common household items that caregivers for folks with Parkinson's disease can use in order to make caring for that person a little safer, a little easier, and of course to help that person with Parkinson's disease be more independent and more mobile for longer. I hope genuinely that you found this information useful, that you found it interesting and informative. And if you did, please make sure that you are following me, liking it, and subscribing to the channel, because that is the only way that I get to continue making this content available to you and anyone else who needs it. So please make sure that you are subscribing. Go ahead and click that button wherever it is on the page here. I don't know right now as I'm recording, but wherever that button is, go ahead and click it. Click subscribe so I can keep putting this content out there for you and anyone else who needs it. Oh yeah, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing a mask. Well, I will tell you. Okay, so if you have seen any of my videos before, you may have seen my character, Captain Caregiver. And of course, the whole point of Captain Caregiver is not that I am a superhero in any way, shape, or form. I am certainly not. But really to point out the fact that caregivers are really and truly real-life superheroes. So I thought it would be super fun for the month of October and for Halloween to have kind of a caregiver superhero celebration. So I'm challenging all those caregivers out there to put together their own superhero costume, whatever that is for you, whether you're super crafty. I mean, I'm sure people can put together some amazing things, or you just want to put on something that makes you feel like a superhero. Whatever it is, that's your challenge for Halloween for the month of October, is to put together your own superhero costume, because you really and truly actually are a superhero. So make sure, and I want to see these for sure, duh. So make sure, what I'm going to do here is under this video, I'm going to start a comment thread about the superhero costume challenge, and to make sure that I get to see all of your costumes, your wonderful costumes, make sure that you reply to that comment in that thread, so that everything will be tagged together so that I can see all of your awesome costumes, and most importantly, give you credit for being the superhero that you actually are. So that's it. That's all I've got for you right now. I will definitely be back with more content here shortly. And again, please make sure that if this is stuff that you enjoy, that you find useful, that you find informative, make sure that you are subscribing to it right now. Go ahead and hit that button. Share it with other people who need it, who will benefit from it. Ask them to subscribe to it too, so that I can keep bringing it to you as often as possible, giving you informative information that helps to hopefully make your life a little bit better. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye.